tuning in. We are not officially. We have not officially have started. Actually, I could take these fucking headphones off.
You know what you could do? You could start everything right now, right? And then when 8 o'clock comes, you know he got the 94.3. I could splice that little part out and just bring it into the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You could, like that's what I'm saying. You could start it now, so say whatever, and then I could splice it.
Oh, oh. I see. Good morning, New Haven. This is Moving Target. We got a really, really good episode. Spencer, what mic are you on? What's that? Four? Mic four? That's three? Okay. It says four. You sure?
This one says Mike 4 right here, so that's why I thought this was.
All right, maybe that's how it goes. All right, cool. Yeah, we got a really, really good show for you, man. CT Urban Report. There was a bunch of authors for this report. I think they're all Quinnipiac University professors. Might have been a couple more. But they did this really great report on the disparities of that CT is facing with housing, education, transportation. And so we're going to talk with him about some of the things that they found, all the bad shit, some of the good shit, you know?
No doubt.
Shit that we just know, but we don't really know the specifics on. You know what I mean? We got to know how bad it is,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Like, I've known them to be doing budget cuts even, like, from years back. I know, like, Connecticut hasn't even been, like, really functioning properly as it should be in recent times, but I don't really know the severity.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah. I know some things in the school system with, like, the cutbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
53 teachers let go here in Connecticut recently.
Yeah. They even, like, taken out of, like, nonprofit organizations like LEAP. I remember I was there, and we were getting a budget cut as well.
What, LEAP is a youth organization, right? Or is it like a
It's a LEAP. LEAP is a nonprofit.
nonprofit youth organization? All right.
So they were doing budget cuts. We had to shut down one of the sites. We had to do some cuts of ourselves as well. And I remember, like, we were all in a room calling the governor, and the governor wouldn't even pick up the call.
Really?
But this was, like, back in, like, 2000, I want to say either 15 or 16. So I don't know the strides that the economy of Connecticut has taken by then, but I know it's been bad in recent times.
Yeah, it has. It has.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go over that today. There's other shit that I wanted to talk about too. I don't know if we'll have enough time. I wanted to talk about this shareholder of Golden State Warriors that pushed Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, that was crazy. Why?
Yo, bro, it looked like he had like so much racism built up that he just, when he was next to him, he's like, "Fucking nigger," and just pushed him. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
It looked like he just
weird.
lost it out of nowhere.
If anything, like Kyle Lowry didn't even land on him, like per se.
No.
The other guy,
The woman,
yeah,
the woman got like fucking slammed. Back.
Yeah, I'm over here thinking, was that his wife?
Who, the white guy's wife?
Yeah.
No, she
That
was
would
like,
only
she
be
was
the
away from him.
possible. That would be the only logical explanation for him to do that, something like that. If that was his wife that he.
Or the fact that it's just one of, like, I feel like there's a lot of white men right now that are in so much rage. They have so much shit built up. You know, you got feminists that are killing them, and they're just mad about that. You got fucking Mexicans that are, you know, they haven't closed up this goddamn wall. You know, their hero Trump is getting bashed all the time. And now this fucking nigger just fell next to me. Get out of here, nigger. I'm sorry. I lost it. That's what I feel like it happened. That's
you
what I feel like
he
happened.
just like rage boiling up in him.
Yeah. And he just was just like, "Gah!"
I mean, I guess, but his players are black though.
Oh, but they're
little
they're,
waffle
they're
color.
slaves. Yeah, they're waffle color.
Waffle color assassins. Steph Curry.
Oh,
Nah, man.
Nah,
that
I
was
feel
crazy.
like, you know, shit, man. All these owners, man. We would be surprised how many are fucking racist.
Donald Sterling, when that incident that happened a couple of years ago, him and the Clippers, that was crazy. They
That
she
was
caught it
nuts.
all on audio.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was nuts.
I was at an AAU tournament. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like,
Yeah, man. And we still support it. We're still like
They're
it's
getting-
all good.
But they're getting kicked out. Like the only thing I could say though that the NBA does that the NFL doesn't is like they're really like they're being accountable for their actions. Like this guy got fined like $500,000 and is banned from all NBA games for a year. Now, he is
He's good.
I mean, I honestly think that's a good enough punishment, especially because like he is a part-time owner.
I don't think it's good enough.
You think he should be banned for life?
No. I mean, it's not even banned for. Who gives a shit if you're banned? You could go to any other game. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
could be in the skybox. Nobody cares. Like, I don't think that's a good enough punishment. You want a good punishment?
He's banned from all NBA games.
Oh, you can't go to no NBA games at all?
games for a year.
But he can still get money.
No, he got suspended from all team activities.
How could he not get money though? He has shareholder. He owns some of that. You got to pay $500,000. That's it. Like what's that? That's nothing.
I mean,
The thing, but the fucking cunt. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna give her the word cunt. I don't give many women the word cunt, but she gets cunt. The woman who was the lawyer for that put the Central Park 5.
man, I haven't even
and
watched. I mean, I know the story. Like I've watched
Yeah.
the story before, but
Yeah.
I didn't get into that series yet. But
I tried to. I only watched 2 because of my girl. She was like, I
She-
really want to watch it.
she
but I was
lost
like,
her book deal.
Yeah,
her
but she
longtime
had so many
publisher.
books before that.
Yeah, I know.
See, and not only did she have so many books before that, she was on boards where boards for like supposed to be serving the people. She's on these boards that like,
yeah,
no, man, you don't deserve shit.
she's shiesty for that, yo. Those boys were so young.
And she still doesn't apologize. She still says, she says, okay, well, he might have admitted, but they came after. Real talk.
What?
I know. She's
Man,
a
that's
cunt.
terrible. Yeah, she deserves everything that's coming towards her. I mean,
Yeah.
I do see like some potential conflict
Right.
coming in the future, like her getting on those boards. Was
Oh.
like her position soon.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them, but like you're gonna see a digress in it.
I'm years old now.
Okay, but now she's a familiar face, so now she's like publicly at the story until like the series came out.
Mm.
Now they see her. I'm
Where he gonna?
What up, y'all?
This is crazy.
Matches what I'm wearing.
This dude
yeah,
came
but
late. Now he gonna say, no, stay right there, bro.
Wherever you comfortable, just not here.
nah, I'm.
Yo,
You
next
wanna do me
time,
like that,
Spencer, you
man?
stay there.
Nah.
You stay there.
Young king.
Gotta stand up
Don't.
to your elders.
Oh shit! He just said, stand up to your elders.
Young king. Yeah, bro, I'm getting old, man. Whenever you wake up in your hamstring,
Yo,
you just pull a ham and get
Justin
up.
just pulled up
rolling
beside
out
of
of
me
bed.
and literally took a huge bite of a Pop-Tart. that shit looked crazy.
And
just
please
now.
don't sit here no more because the seat is warm. I don't like sitting down. You
No,
don't
but I
like
wanted
sitting
to
on
see-
warm seats. You know what I mean? You know how you go to sit down, the seat's already hot. You're like,
Yeah.
damn, man, the seat's already hot.
I was
But
comfortable.
I gotta sit on a hot seat. I'm in
Man.
the hot seat.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's a cunt.
Yeah.
I love, and you know,
I don't know what
I
walked
feel
in on.
comfortable. I feel
Central Park
comfortable
5 prosecutor.
I don't,
Yeah.
Oh man, we talking about that.
You know,
that-
because I don't get to use the word cunt too much. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
You just letting
But
the thing
now,
fly today.
I
mean, her public is.
Nah, I think from for the people, yeah, I think they're just like, oh, look at her being, she's a martyr to them.
This is God's work.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. That's what I feel.
That's
I feel like when it comes down to the people that she really that don't agree with her, they don't buy her books. You know what I'm saying? They don't go check for her.
She got to find another publisher, then to go make another book. But
Now
yeah,
that take away her publishing. Do not make sure she's not verified on YouTube.
yeah.
Make sure she's on Twitter. Make sure she's demonetized on YouTube. Like that's I want to see cancel culture do what cancel culture does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
This is
the
the
time we
only
need
time
it.
where I completely support cancel culture.
And
Not
it's-
because somebody said they have a different view, but because somebody did what she did.
And it's crazy because it took a TV series to actually bring this to light. When like this situation happened, like
It's been going on.
yeah, it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
and it happened like transpired like over years ago. So
And that's why salute to Ava DuVernay and it's content like this that will be on our streaming service, Activated Media, which is basically like all content that's gonna bring shit like that to light enlightenment,
Just, let me
empowerment,
get some headphones, just please.
things like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yo, but it's a problem. It's a problem that white America has, man. It's a problem that white America has. That's why every time I get the chance to call them immigrants, I let them. I tell them they're because they quick to call that. And it starts with, I mean, it hasn't started with him, but they feel empowered because of Donald Trump's views, and he wants to build a wall to keep the immigrants out and tearing families. But you are the real immigrant. Here.
well, I mean, I have my views on. There's some things I agree with as far as the wall. There's some motherfuckers we gotta make sure there's some people that aren't coming in here. I don't think people realize how deep the cartel goes.
Nah, but I agree with that. So we gotta find a better way, man. You don't build no wall. What do you
Why not?
Because what is that? Because first of all,
I think it's like it's just like you're not welcome here in a way. Because is there a wall up in Canada?
I think there needs to be a better way to vet who's who and filter through. But straight up, it needs to be I feel like it needs to be a very serious, case by case. I don't care how the system works. You need to look deeply into each and every individual because the cartel is so fucking deep.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
But usually the cartel and them, their access comes from what? A lot of times the American government. It's been like that for how long? You know what I'm saying?
Regardless of where it comes from or not, I'm saying the system and who comes in here. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, needs to be so deep, and it needs to be not just because you're Mexican. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But who specifically are you? Where's your background? What ties do you have?
So the wall. So to me, the wall's not doing that. The wall, you know what I mean? Put the system in place that's gonna do that. But building a wall is on some old racist shit, man.
I can't really say that. I can't really say that the wall itself and the idea of the wall is racist.
Been a wall, though. That's
that's what I'm saying. I think it's more. What's more important is how are we choosing who.
How you identifying?
Yeah, how are you identifying? The wall isn't a racist thing to me.
Yeah, man.
I don't see how.
Man.
But when you could have a wall, but still be identifying the people that are coming.
Yo, that wall ain't gonna stop nothing if you and we're not gonna say Donald Trump is doing that himself, but if the system that you work in is facilitating a lot of them things.
Yeah.
What are you building a wall for? Your system your system that you working in is facilitating a lot of that stuff.
Because I think one reasons why I think of it is that I guess in 2040, I think the Hispanic population is going to be the #1 race in America. I think that's a way of just controlling the population. Also, like he said, we got to control who comes. Not everybody.
Yeah, man, we really do. Here. Yeah, we do need some very strict ways to protect who comes in here. You know what I'm saying? And, if we go too far to the left and start saying, oh, come on, we're free, stop doing the wall. And if we go so far to the left where we're just letting everybody, you know what I'm saying, opportunity, that's a problem. So we need to, there are some things.
I say stop doing the wall and work on what the real issue is, man. Put that money that you're trying to use towards building a wall, put that money towards creating a system or weeding out those in your system and your surrounding system that facilitates all that action. Put that money towards that. That's how you do that. That's how you come up with a system that really, like we said, vents the people. You know what I'm saying? Of who's coming in.
Yeah, I mean, you put your money into that, but meanwhile, you're not putting your money into actually vetting the people or looking at the people who are coming in.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, do that. Put the money into that, creating that system that vents the people.
But that's part of the whole fucking wall, man. It's not. We're not just. You can't look at the wall and be like, "That's racist." That is something that I don't give a fuck. If I built a town, if I built a city. Oh, best believe, man, we putting something up. We setting up all these fucking borders and watching who comes into this motherfucker.
If Barack Obama said he wanted to build a wall, would you think it's racist?
No.
See what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Well, because no. However, though, but you can go back into Barack's history and see that he doesn't have racist ties to him.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
You can't allow. But again, Rem, you got to be objective. And that's the problem. We get too reactive and emotional.
I don't think, I think I am being objective.
No, you're not, though, because you just said because you just associated the wall being racist because Trump has racist ties. But if Barack said it, he has no racist ties, so you don't
Right.
say that. That's not objective.
So the person
Being objective is saying, okay, this one person's racist.
Okay.
But let me
so
look at the
I
wall
understand,
itself.
I understand what you're saying. So then I would backtrack that and say no. I still think building a wall is a bad idea.
I don't see how.
I would say that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if we ever build
a
a town and any motherfucker says, "Nah, don't build a wall, just let it be free." Absolutely not.
Nah, it's not just.
We need a system in place of who.
But it's
listen,
not, just
we need a
because you say
system
build a
in
wall
place.
doesn't mean that let's let it be free. That
But
doesn't
we
mean
need
that.
a system in. But if you have no wall, do you know how easy it is to let for people to sneak over?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man.
I get what you're saying,
Make
though.
a better security measure.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
all
Yeah,
of
that's
that's
what
part
I'm
of the
saying. That's
wall,
what- that's
though.
possible.
I think people associate like the wall with like literally just a wall, like bricks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's a whole system of keeping motherfuckers out that don't need to be in here. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if we get our own town or I get my own city or some shit like that, oh, we putting up a wall. We are making sure that the European and anybody else doesn't try to come up in here. We're going to definitely not just have a security system. We're going to have a wall, put the barbed wire up. I don't want no motherfucker sneaking up in here, and all of a sudden I find out the women in the village or in the city are getting fucking raped because somebody fucking snuck in here that shouldn't be here.
Yo, I seen this comedian was talking about that, man. He said, listen, man, he said, what the hell we building a wall for? Don't they know that they got tunnels? They done broke El Chapo out of jail in a tunnel that had lights in it and a whole system.
But it's but that's the reason why I said I think because you're not thinking objectively, you're looking at just a wall.
Yeah, that was the.
But it's like, yo, they got mad. The whole security system of keeping motherfuckers out from here needs to stop.
I think
hold
Trump's
on 1 second. Let me just. Hey, Robert. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kemp. How are you?
Robert, you
Hello?
there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Robert.
Yes, I'm here. Hello,
Robert, you there?
I'm here.
Robert, you there?
Knocking the boots.
Robert, you there?
He's calling his cell phone.
There?
Please hang up and try your call again. If you need assistance, dial the operator. Please hang up now. This is a recording. Please hang up and try your call again. If you need assistance,
Yeah,
dial
man,
the
you
operator.
know.
Please hang up now.
Hello?
This is a recording.
Hey, Robert.
No, I get what you're saying though, because like with Trump's policies and like the way he acts and the way he talks and the manner he speaks, it comes off as racist. But like,
Not even that though, but Trump's
Hey, Robert.
Trump's how they used to vet people that from his buildings that he owned in New York. How they used to keep that. Trump is a racist ass person.
yeah, I'm saying he's racist, but like I'm talking about the wall itself. You got to detach it.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I hear you, yo. I hear you.
All right, hold on. I need you to be quiet 1 second. Robert. Robert, you there? Robert, you there? Yo, unplug your phones.
My
Or your
phone.
headphones.
Unplug both of them.
Yeah. Robert, you there? Rem, do me a favor. Call the line 203-562-939430. Say something.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Wait. I can hear you on my phone.
Go up there and see if you can hear me.
Over the air?
Yeah. No, not over the air, just in your phone. But I got to make sure I hear you.
Hello. Hello. Am I the 19th caller? I was trying to win a lifetime supply of gummy drops. Bars.
Keep talking.
So, the plan and the mission, brother, is not to build a wall. The plan and the mission is to build for us all. Make the final call. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry about
y'all.
that, Robert. I'm just working out a technical difficulty.
A
If
1-2,
you
a
can
1-2
just,
now. What are niggas to do
if you
now?
give me 2 more minutes and then just call again, I apologize. All right, thanks.
Yo, yiggity, yiggity, yo. Yiggy, yes, yes, y'all. To the beat, y'all.
You still talking, Rem?
Yeah.
All right, talk again.
I bomb atomically. Socrates, philosophies, and hypotheses can't define how I'll be dropping these mockeries. Lyrically perform armed robberies, flee with the lottery. Possibly they spotted me. Battlestar Shogun, explosive when the pen hits tremendous. Ultraviolet shine blind forensics. I expect you through the future see millennium. Killer B, soul 50 gold, 60 platinum. Shackling the masses with drastic rap tactics. Blacksmith, today melted bills like blacksmith. Ease the guns in. Translates the function. Side inside of war, take sight inside of war, chicks hit the floor, die hard, fancy being more. Here comes the bold soldier, fans to blow slowly. Sword swinger swords like Shinobi. Chop ground and pound for a prince in solid lock. Who got it locked, perform alive on your hottest block. As the world turns, I spread like germ. Bless the gold with my pestilence. The hard head never learned. Here's my testament to those burned. Play my position in the game of life, standing firm. I'm foreign limbs, jump the gun out the frying pan. Into the fire, transform into the Ghost Rider.
Nah, that was whoa.
A six-pack in the street car named Desire. Who got my back in the line of fire holding back? Well, my people, if you with me, where the fuck you at? Niggas strapping, they trying to twist my bed cap. Caught a germ from this bad seed, from bad sperm. Herb got my wig fried like a bad perm. What the blood clot? I blow spots. You wanna think twice? I think not. I ain't lying, gotta tell you where I'm coming from. Guns and Navarone, tearing out your battle zone, rip through your slum. Yo,
Yeah.
you good?
No.
Oh man. Yo. I could drop mean hot 16. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. If everything I ever love in my life I lost, when you see me on the street, then you know my cause. Only love for little things that I can't touch. I can't take it to the grave, so it don't matter much. Had a chick who said she loved me, don't make me laugh, cause when shit got thick, man, that chick caught ass. Now, never again with my heart on my sleeve. They say it's better to give rather than receive. I guess that only depends on what you retrieve. From what you gave be the last impressions you leave. I run it hard like horse races, big veins pulsating. This is for those hating that don't really know Raymond. I'm not a wannabe thug, wannabe gangster. I can't be confused with these pranksters, these wanksters. We got soldiers, yeah, they love wildin'. pulling out the ox, me your whole neck smiling. Now say cheese as we come in peace. I love my people. I'd rather bring out the peace, and that's remedy. Reality affects masses immediately. Remy, never send me. Automatic, repeatedly. Rem, flow gem. I told them nobody can hold him. Connecticut, find us now. We rolling. Now we golden. Now we chosen. Yeah.
Say something.
Yo, yes indeed. Yes indeed.
It's over the air.
I
All right,
believe-
hang up, Rem.
Yo, huh?
Hang up.
You called in the line. Critical thinking.
I don't know, but
Now ain't none of y'all young ass rappers be able to spit a verse hotter than what I was just spitting. Man. There ain't none of them to this day say a verse hotter than W, man.
But did
Heard
know
you.
That it was always freedom to jail. There was always clips inserted. And every day, a baby's being born the same time a man is murdered.
Yes, man.
It's like the beginning and end.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Reincarnation.
yeah. For
For
sure.
rap, I think I should explain my patso.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you rap too, Just?
Nah,
bro.
that's nasty. The rebel, man.
all right.
Uh,
Hold on.
nah.
First was
Hold up, y'all. Hey, Robert, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Robert, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I
Hello?
don't know why this is doing this.
Call your boy real quick.
No. I called Venetia.
No, not him.
Oh, Marquette?
Nah, what's his name? The Electric Jump.
Oh, yeah.
That's your boy, right?
I ain't got no comment.
That's your boy, too.
Who my boy?
You said.
Yusuf?
Hello?
Yeah, alright. My mom told me if I ain't got nothing else to say, don't say it at all. So
Mm.
you gonna keep it at that.
Mm. Wise woman, very, very wise queen.
Yes.
Hmm. That is an art, brother.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
That's an art.
Yeah.
That's an art.
What's that?
If you don't got nothing to say, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
What if the
Some
nice is
says-
constructive criticism?
Then that's nice.
Okay.
You know?
Constructive
We need
criticism
that.
is different.
We
than-
need that. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
But-
Need
It
that.
just might not be nice.
yeah.
Need that.
It's like, constructive criticism, like, yo, your breath is stink, bro.
You gotta
No,
be-
that's nice, man.
I'd rather someone
That's
tell
nice.
me that
Very
than to have me come out
Then
there with
have
my
it-
breath stinking.
Yeah, man.
Or
Very
like lacking, like
Yeah, man. Or have a booger or something on your nose.
Yeah.
You're like, yo, I've been running around my dudes all damn day and ain't nobody tell me I had a booger on my nose. You talking
Yeah.
to people, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
One is shaking hands, yeah.
they're like, oh hey.
I don't shake hands with people that got boogers on their nose.
Yeah, what's up?
I'll give them the fist bump
They
in a
might
minute.
not know, though.
Yeah, but just
Yeah.
I just like I'm just you
Yeah, I
get
know what you
scheming. It's
mean.
like yeah.
I
Alright,
get mad
man.
when I shake hands with somebody that has slimy hands.
Yeah, them
Hands
clammy
moist, the moist
Clammy
hands.
hands.
I'm so
Yo,
mad about
my
that.
man,
God.
that's a
Like,
thing.
why did
yo.
you stop me? And you can't. I
Moist.
can't pull away mid shake.
Yeah.
My
I've
hands,
already done that.
I just go to the nearest hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I got to wash my hands. Man, I don't know what you did with your hands.
Yeah, and then why do they always give some of the softest handshakes?
Yeah, they like this.
It's like
Yeah.
it's always moist, and then
Like
they hand it
they
just-
want you to get some of that.
Yeah.
They're like, what's good?
Get some of this moistness.
Yo,
Yeah.
man,
You look a
Yo,
little dry
that's-
today, brother.
Yeah, that's
Take
disturbing.
some of
yo.
this.
It got me rubbing my hands right now on my legs, on my jeans, man. That's disturbing to me, man.
All right, going
Oh,
live
man.
in 23 seconds.
Moist hands. Get your moist ass
Moist,
hands out of
clean
here.
hands.
Hot mics are going hot. 94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city and home of the Juan Castillo Morning Show. Good morning, New Haven. This is Moving Target. I am your host, Jay Kemp, and with me is my comrade, Remedy Sharif.
Yo, brother, Super Saturday. Yes, sir.
He felt real good. And, of course, we got young King Spencer. What's good, bro?
What's going on? What's going on, man?
And we got the young one, Justin, in the back. What's going on, brother?
Peace. Good morning.
So, yeah, great show today. We're going to get into the topic in a moment. However, I still want to salute everybody who's tuning in, everybody who supports Moving Target on the Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. We have more content that's coming that will be outside of just Moving Target. You know, other people who have voices that they want to use media platforms to really put their message out, and we want to be able to support them. And so we will be producing more content outside of Moving Target. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page, Moving Target Media. All right? So what's going on, Rem? How you feel, bro?
Man, I feel great, man. Another Super Saturday. We here.
Yeah?
We here. Yes,
All
sir.
right. All right. That's what's up. Anything special planned this weekend?
As a matter of fact, yeah, and shout out to everybody that's observing the Eid Mubarak, to all the Muslims and the Muslim families that we have. And we're gonna have something at the park today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all finally in Ramadan.
Ramadan is over, yes, sir.
Ramadan's officially over
Officially over 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Wednesday.
Okay. So
Yes.
y'all about to feast.
Yeah, man. It was
Y'all about
already
to
one
eat.
feast that went down.
Eat.
You wild for that.
That's what's happening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. Well, congratulations, man, on everybody who went through that. I know the level of enlightenment must be crazy, you know.
Yo, this was my first year really hunkering down and doing it in a long time. I did miss some days, you know what I mean? Because it's real, and especially in the summer times, because it stays lighter longer. And the
So
sun
the
didn't go
days
down
feel
to
longer.
8:30. No,
Yeah.
not feel longer. The sun comes up at 6.
So they are
basically.
longer.
The days are long, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But it's that's all part of the process, I believe. I don't believe the process. It's about staying on point every single day. It's about being able to fall off but transition back.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
practice.
Yes,
so
sir.
we all need that. All right, man. Well, we're gonna get right into the show. There is a new report called the Urban Connecticut Report 2019, which reveals the crisis level of poverty, underemployment, and affordable housing in urban Connecticut. On the line right now, we have a co-author and project manager of State of Urban Connecticut, Dr. Robert Brown. Robert Brown, you there, brother?
I am. Good morning. How are you all?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for your work with this report. You and all your colleagues, I believe Don Sawyer is also part of this as well, right?
Dr. Sawyer, yes, he is.
Yeah. So he's also great. He's been on the show a few times. So we really appreciate you taking the time out to join us this morning.
Sure. Good to be here.
So this report is, some stuff is not surprising, but I think what you all did was really make it even more clear for all of us. But I wanted to know from you, there was it said, if I'm not mistaken, you said that there's 2 Connecticut's that you found when you did this report. There's the wealthy and increasingly white Connecticut, and another experiencing exponential growth in communities of color alongside growing economic disparities. So what exactly is the growth that you saw when you talk about exponential growth in communities of color? What growth is that?
Well, first, let me set the backdrop. The State of Urban Connecticut was a report that is a culmination of a research investigation launched by Urban League of Southern Connecticut, and it engaged Quinnipiac University to be its research partner. And so what we endeavored to do was examine 5 issues, which included education, employment, income, affordable housing, and health disparities, and look at the impact of these issues on the quality of living for people who live in the urban centers of the state. And so what we found, generally speaking, was that there are persistent inequities in each of those areas as a result of the data collection method that we used, which included focus groups and interviews. And I thank, again, the participants who thought enough of our project to sit and participate in those focus groups because they provided a granular level of information and a more nuanced understanding about the ways in which these 5 issues affect people's lives that simply recording numbers on a sheet simply could not convey. So it's because of that we also learned about additional issues which include transportation, immigration, and reentry justice. But going back to your question, there were a number of issues that were found that were not necessarily surprising. But the quote that you're referring to is in the employment section. And in that section, what we see is that there are in fact 2 Connecticut's. There's a Connecticut that I think most people think of when they think of Connecticut. Many people not from the area will think about Greenwich, Connecticut, and the vast wealth.
Yeah.
But there's another Connecticut, too, that has been unfortunately growing for many, many decades. And that is the Connecticut in which you have significant levels of poverty. We have growing numbers of people who are coming from low-income communities, and we find that poverty is disproportionately visited on communities of color. And so when we look at the disparity in levels of employment, levels of education, levels of income, these are relating specifically to some of the structural barriers that have been in place for decades. And so what we see going forward is a need to address these issues, not just at the grassroots level, not just at the stakeholder level, but most importantly at the policy level. And so as we look at some of the changes in America generally, but particularly as it relates to the world of work, we have a need now for higher levels of credentialing. There is this deployment of significantly higher levels of technology. For example, if you go into a fast food restaurant, you don't see as many people behind the counter anymore. You see what? You see the kiosk where you get to order your food. So every time you see one of those kiosks, keep in mind that someone has lost their job because of that. And so as we see more and more technology, that technology can certainly serve a purpose, but we have to be sure that the people who are on the margins, as it relates to being able to find work that pays livable wages, are equipped with the skills and training so that they can go out and help to not just survive, but more importantly, thrive. And so this report speaks to the ways in which these persistent inequities are making life harder and harder for a growing number of people that live in the urban centers, particularly, again, those who are coming from low-income communities and then disproportionate numbers of people from communities of color.
So what do you feel the disparity, was there a disparity that you found that was surprisingly more severe than expected?
Well, that's a great question. If you look at the first section, which is on education, and that was a section written by Dr. Don Sawyer and Dr. Kalila Brown Dean, both professors at Quinnipiac University. What they focus on is not so much the achievement gap, because if you look at the literature on education, how do we make education better, oftentimes the focus is on the achievement gap. But we argue that it's not so much the achievement gap, because really the achievement gap is a symptom of the opportunity gap. So when you talk about the opportunity gap, we're now talking about, again, access to equitable levels of resources. For example, are our inner city schools provided with the funding to be top performing? Are our teachers being equipped and empowered with the tools and resources that they need to be able to provide outstanding education to our students? Are our students being exposed to curricula that is demanding, that also places them in positions where they can compete with any other student in the state or the country? And is the curricula that we see in these schools equipping these young people to be competitive in a vastly changing job market? And so what we find is that in terms of the opportunity, we see that there's a dearth of opportunity in our inner city schools as opposed to schools in rural and suburban areas. And so we all know that the ways in which a child is raised at that primary level, from K to, say, 6th grade, is exceedingly important in terms of that student's trajectory, more often than not, to be successful going forward. The other thing is this. We have to ensure that we are exposing our young people to educators who are challenging them, who are doing so with cultural sensitivity, who are doing so with cultural competence, who have high expectations for them, and who are also giving them pathways to reach those spaces, as opposed to exhibiting behaviors that suggest that the students don't really have the capacity to achieve at high levels. So what we're saying is that it isn't the achievement gap that's the issue, it's the opportunity gap, and then the persons that our children are exposed to as it relates to teaching them, training them, and also giving them the confidence to believe that they can achieve anything that they set their mind to achieve. And let me say this while I'm at it. One of the things that we all know is that people in low-income communities tend to be some of the most resilient, resourceful people that you will ever encounter. If you really take a look at the ways in which a person who is coming from a poor environment has to survive from the moment that they get up, every half hour, every hour to get to noon, and then get to the evening every single day, and then do it again the next day, and then again and again and again, it takes a person with a high level of resilience and capacity. And so what we're arguing is that in our inner cities, there are vast levels of untapped talent that need to be exalted. And so until we adopt the mindset and embrace the idea that all of us have something of value to give, not just to themselves, but also to their communities, to the state, and even to this world, we will continue to be in situations where the perception of greatness is looked upon certain groups in one way and then in other groups in another. And so what this report exposes is that there is a great desire to lift oneself from a place of survival to a place of thriving in abundance. But structurally speaking, there are barriers that prevent that. And so what we're here to say is that State of Urban Connecticut is a guidance document that a person, a family, or a community could use, stakeholders can certainly use, and then policymakers. Because what we do at the end of each of the 8 sections is we provide a series of recommendations. Now, these are not, abstract or theoretical. These are actual doable recommendations, because sometimes, you provide a discourse and what the ills and challenges of a community may be, but then you don't provide anything for the person to take with them and say, hey, listen, you can deploy this today.
Right. Solutions.
You don't have to go out and read a book. You can do this right now.
Yes.
So we believe that we have done an effective job with that, but it has been because of the input that we got from the people who participated in our focus groups. One of the things, too, about this report, while it's launched by the Urban League of Southern Connecticut and partnered with Quinnipiac University, we also had the good fortune to have 4 of the sections written by 4 external subject matter experts, particularly as it relates to the section on affordable housing, transportation, immigration, and reentry justice. So we believe that this document is something that can be used and replicated and built upon, because we really focus our attention on the people and communities that are being served in the great state of Connecticut.
You are listening to Dr. Robert Brown. He's the project manager of State of Urban Connecticut and also co-author of Urban Connecticut Report. Dr. Brown, another question is, what I found was that 92%, and this was in the report, 92% of educators are white. Am I right about that?
Well, the thing about that statistic is, and it is troubling. And
Very.
It is troubling because, there's a lot to be said for young people feeling more comfortable with people who look like them, whether you're white or black or Latino or indigenous or Asian. That's just a human characteristic. The problem is, and, let's be clear in saying that there are some outstanding white teachers in the city,
yes,
in the state, to be sure. Our concern is, to what extent and I talked about this a moment ago, are relevant levels of cultural competence being brought to bear so that a teacher who is engaging with a student is really understanding what they may be encountering. And I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, we have a young fifth grader. Her name is Tammy. And Tammy is usually very, very observant, and she's usually very, very participatory in her class. But over the last couple of weeks, she seemed to have been distracted. The teacher, rather than perhaps talking with her, decides that she is going to send her to the office to punish her, to report her behavior to the principal. When the principal attempts to find out exactly what's going on, Tammy says nothing. But what they both missed was the fact that 2 weeks prior, Tammy witnessed her parents get into an altercation, which resulted in physical violence. Tammy had never been exposed to that. It was a shock to the system. She didn't know what to do, but she witnessed the entire thing. And so sometimes we will be presented with a situation as an educator, and because we have not been in the environment, we have no knowledge of the community which we're serving, we make assumptions that could be completely off base. But now Tammy has been sanctioned in a negative way, and this young child has been labeled as disruptive.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
And so the idea of having teachers who are excellent at what they do, who bring to bear pedagogy that is going to be engaging and challenging, and the extent to which they have not just an interest in that child or children when they're in the confines of that school building, but they also have an interest as to how they are in their communities, who may take the time. You know what? I'm just coming by to check on Tammy. You know, she's one of my best students. I just wanted to come by and meet you and let you know who I am. I'm her fifth grade teacher. Right. Until we have more of that kind of engagement, we find ourselves in a situation where it might be more likely, not maliciously, but to make these errors of omission that place our young children in positions where they may be misunderstood and misjudged. What the report also finds, going back to the first section on education, is the extent to which black children, particularly black girls, are often deemed to be far more disruptive than any other group. And so we have to ask ourselves, why is this happening, and who is making these determinations?
Right. And I witness it. I witness it in the school, working in the schools. I see it all the time. You know, I'll sit with a young student, and I'm there for a different purpose, you know, but I sit with a young student, and the reason why they're brought to me is because of they need to be disciplined. They're being disruptive. And yet it's a repeated action according to the teacher. But when I look at what the actions are that the child is doing, it's very minor things that they shouldn't have a label of being disruptive, you know, and it shouldn't be boxed in like that.
Right, and these labels, as you know, stick.
Yes.
But these labels are not being applied to white students nearly to the extent that they're being applied to black students in general, but black girls in particular. So again, this is an issue that we need to unpack. And so we have to be sure that we are engaging teachers who are truly committed to understanding as much as possible. You know, we talk about this thing called cultural competence, but there's another term called cultural humility. And it's the idea that the person who is doing the assessing, if you will, i.e. the teacher, does not have all the answers. Yeah. But that education is always in the process of being committed to lifelong learning, which means that just because you may have completed a program of study, the learning doesn't stop. In fact, it's just begun.
So another question I had, though, and we can go, I want to go on to a couple more sections of the report, but in the realm of education, you know, while it's not surprising Did you find anything that points to why black educators are not being hired? Is it that we're not applying? Is it that we're not being chosen? Why is there such a gap?
Well, part of the reason is that, quite frankly, if you're looking at New Haven public schools, it's just very expensive to live in New Haven. The other thing is that we have got to increase rates of pay for teachers. We do. But we also have to continue to improve our pipelines so that we are attracting the teachers who look like the students that they would actually be educating.
Right.
When we went into some of the schools to conduct some of our research, what we saw primarily were young white teachers. And again, there's nothing wrong with that per se. But the concerns do come when you have a young person who may not have that many years of training, okay, who may sharpen their teeth, if you will, on the children in our schools, and then after 2 or 3 years, they go on to other schools in other districts.
Right.
So we have got to do a better job, I believe, of ensuring that the pipeline of teachers reflects in a more equitable way, there's that word again, the kinds of students, whether they are black students, whether they are Latino students, whether they are indigenous or Asian, that they're actually going to be serving. Because think of it now, if a young person of color has had few interactions with a white person, what is that child's receptivity going to be to learning from that person? Might it be hampered in some way? Well, chances are it might. And so in addition to the other barriers and challenges that we face, it's important that the connection between the student and teacher remains strong. One of the clearest ways to do that is for that teacher, doesn't matter what their background is, shows care and concern. Because we know that if a student perceives that that teacher really cares about her or him, that goes a long way to helping to facilitate an educational process and interaction that is far more positive.
And that
it goes a long way. Let me just say that it goes a long way to making that child feel more comfortable coming to that teacher should something be amiss.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Brown, see, what it seems like to me is that we've been putting, people of color, especially our children, have been exposed to a system that is purposely and maliciously keeping us at a disadvantage all around the board, and especially educational wise. So my question would be, how, call me foolish, but how would we put together our own school system, or how realistic is that? I'm sorry. How realistic is that of us really stepping away from this system of education and many other of their tools on, every level, but creating our own education system?
Well, I think it's already started. If you go back to May 17th, 1954, that was the date that the Supreme Court decided that separate but equal was unconstitutional. 65 years later, the promise of Brown versus the Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, levels of segregation in schools in 2019 are the worst that they have ever been since Brown.
Wow.
And so we're in a space now where, as communities, we have the human capital to start our own schools. What tends to be the issue is where we're going to get of questions. These are the types of conversations that, because, we can't continue to rely upon others.
On the back.
We have to be sure that we realize the talents and skills that we bring to bear. But I'll say this about that. To have a spirit of cooperation and collaboration. Well, you come from this part of town. I come from that part of town. You speak this way. I speak that way. You live here. I live there. I drive this. I don't drive anything. What difference does it make? The point is, are we committed to helping to build a world that's a little bit better for our children than what exists today or not?
Right.
And if the answer is yes, then we have the talent, and I know we have the will to make those things happen. And so sometimes it means that, you know what, you can't be the bright light in the room. Sometimes it means you have to sit down and just listen.
Mm-hmm.
There may be times, however, when what you bring to bear is absolutely what is needed at that moment. But I think sometimes, no, I mean, we would have done a huge disservice to the community.
Yeah. So, but something that surprised me, and I normally don't ever really look at this as.
When you look at a person who is working a low-wage job, a couple of things. One, they tend to not work the traditional, I would say, a 9 to 5, if you will. They may work overnight. They may work late in the evening. They may work very early in the morning. The transportation system, as it is presently constituted, cannot accommodate the needs of that type of worker.
Mm.
So you've got a situation where that individual may have to take 2 or 3 buses one way. And we know what the weather's like here during the winter months. They may have to take the 2 or 3 buses back home, which could be very expensive, which could tax health challenges that may have existed. And so, again, we're talking about quality of living. And so one of the recommendations we make around transportation is that the transportation system really needs to be tailored in such a way that it is meeting the needs of the worker who does not work a traditional job and not necessarily be ensconced in the work environment of the mid-1970s.
Mm.
And so, again, when you look at people from low-income communities, the only work that they may have might be 30 miles away. So they may have to take the 2 or 3 buses and then walk a mile
And then, yeah.
just to get to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at quality of life, the ability to access affordable, convenient transportation cannot be overstated. But again, it's one of those issues that is not necessarily on the radar screen of a lot of people.
No, it's not.
You know, it's not. So, you know, if you're at a job where your employer is saying, listen, you can't be late once, but the buses run funny. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The time says on the sheet, 8:05.
Sometimes it shows up at 8:10.
8:10, it may not get there till 8:15, 8:20.
Right.
You go into the employer and say, well, you know, ma'am, sir, you know, I'm there outside 10 minutes before the bus is going to arrive, but it's routinely late. The employer says to you, listen, if you're late one more time, I got to let you go. Because our plant starts its work exactly at 6 a.m. I can't have you not be here. And so that individual is left to rely on a transportation system that is not efficient, and it is certainly not effective for that person. So what we find within the 8 sections, let me just enumerate them again: education, employment, income, affordable housing, health disparities, transportation, immigration, and reentry justice. There's what is called intersectionality within these issues.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all connected. The quality of education affects the type of employment you're likely to be able to secure,
Right.
which affects the money that you're going to earn, which greatly influences the type of housing that you will be able to afford. And if you're not making the right kind of money and you're experiencing what we call economic stress, which is the inability of a person or family to meet their financial obligations, that could facilitate the onset of a health challenge, or it may exacerbate an existing health challenge. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's interconnected.
Yeah. So with transportation, what was a solution that you offered of how we could address that and what we could do about that?
Well, one of the ways is actually partnering the bus systems with Lyft and Uber. And in some cities, they have actually begun pilot programs that are providing transportation to people that have the least amount of access to transportation services, particularly those who have to take 2 and 3 conveyances just to get to work.
Yeah.
And two or three to get there, because from an infrastructure perspective, sometimes remapping a bus route or the timing and that kind of thing can be difficult because, we have so few patrons who ride the bus that time of morning or that time of night.
Right.
So to run a bus that time, well, it's not really cost effective. And so we're finding that some of these innovators have been stepping into the breach, if you will, to address these issues. But what we really need, more importantly, are long-term solutions.
Yeah.
And this is where the policymakers come in. I mean, it's fine for a time, but how do you scale what a Lyft or an Uber might be doing in certain communities?
And what do you do policy-wise? Like, what would we be trying to change policy-wise in association with transportation?
I think that we have to put reports like State of Urban Connecticut before the policymakers so that they really understand the challenges and nuance that people are experiencing within the communities. And, one of the things, too, is that we need more advocacy, and this is why Urban League of Southern Connecticut is so important, and actually it's celebrating its 50th year this year, to speak on behalf of the people who are often voiceless.
Right.
And I'm talking about those coming from low-income communities and certainly communities of color. Providing the empirical evidence, issues that have been examined, this is what we found, and this is what we propose can be done to address it in a proactive way.
So another thing that I was looking at, as I was reading it, I'm like, man, so many people need to read this report. They need to understand what's in this report. But I know that there's a lot of people that might not take the time. It goes very in depth. Sometimes it could be confusing reading all the statistics and some of the language. So is there training provided or even ways that people can get a better understanding of the report? My go-to in school was always Cliff Notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There,
we certainly hope that the report is not confusing. And what we've endeavored to do is present the information in such a way where anyone could pick this report up and read it and follow it. So the sections of the report tend not to be more than 12 pages.
Yeah.
And that was deliberate because we didn't want it to be so dense where the person might just become disengaged.
Right.
So it's a report that provides you with the detailed information in such a way that's manageable. But let me just say the way to access the report is to go on the Urban League of Southern Connecticut's website, which is ulsc.org, and you can download the report there. One of the things that you might do for some readers, you may want to go to the back of each of the sections and read the recommendations first. Okay.
Okay.
So again, we delineate the recommendations by residents and community leaders. The next section of recommendations is for stakeholders, which would be obviously nonprofit organizations, employers, if you will. And then the third set of recommendations is for policymakers. So you may want to start with the recommendations then go back and read the sections.
That's great. So we only have a couple minutes left. I want to talk about, so what should we as a community, I know you said there's a lot of things to do on a grassroots level, which is where we operate on a grassroots level. And even as those that have a media platform, what can we do with this? What would you suggest we do with this report in order to moving forward, how we can start addressing issues and using this report moving forward?
Well, I think first you've got to read it. You've got to read the report, and all told, including the tables in the back, it's 140 pages. So the first thing you do is to read the report. And actually the sections go fairly quickly. But once you have grassroots community, to look at the ways that sections of the report may be applicable to some of the issues on your particular agenda. Okay. One of the issues that we captured, too, are the challenges being faced by those in the immigrant community. And we know that Connecticut has a very diverse immigrant population. And so that section of the report was written by attorney Kika Matos, okay, who is an immigration attorney. And so she very passionately, but the integration challenges that we are facing, given the rhetoric of the last couple of years and also the policies. And so, dependent upon your particular area or areas, you may want to convene with the people in your communities and say, hey, listen, we can use some of these suggestions to frame how we go forward. For example, if it's about training programs at job centers, you want to be sure there are the opportunities that are going to be phased out because of things like future of work, which is this increased level of automation and robotization of jobs. What we're finding is that because of things like future of work, the jobs that are going to be eliminated first and at disproportionately higher rates are going to be low-wage jobs. Low-wage jobs are those that are paying $15 an hour or less, but in seeing where your issues may be nested and just going through and saying, hey, okay, well, these are some of the recommendations that they've made. We can actually use this.
Yes, yes. Dr. Brown, we thank you for joining us. Dr. Brown is the project manager for State of Urban Connecticut, and we're talking about the Urban Connecticut Report. We will be posting this on our page, so please check the page, our Facebook page, Moving Target Podcast, to get more information on this report. We need to read this report. We need to read this report and really get educated on this so we can take some of these suggestions and start applying it to our own city. Dr. Brown, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
All right. 94.3 WYBC. Make sure you stay tuned to the next show coming up, Electric Drum with Yusef Shaw. All right, we'll see you next Saturday.
Peace.